Hello all and welcome to Coach Replay Show. My name is Kim Ramadan and I'm here with Dr. Brown. He has been on the show before. I have the pleasure of speaking with him. Corey Camp, our other co-host, has spoken to him as well. So Dr. Brown, welcome back. Just give us a really quick introduction about who you are.
Sure. Yes, it's good to be back. My name is Dr. Donnell Brown. I'm currently an administrator in Rocky Mount, North Carolina. That's in the eastern part of North Carolina, wonderful beaches. So if you would like to come to the beach, when it's warm, come to eastern North Carolina. Our school that I'm at, we currently exited low performance status this past school year. So we're fighting even harder not to go back, but continuing to push further. And some of the conversation happens that I'll be talking about today kind of lends itself to that success, but also kind of now what the hard work is now to keep going. But other than that, I'm an avid educator. I love coaching. I love building up our educators, classroom instructional leaders, because I know we've been getting beat down a lot since COVID, before COVID.
Yeah.
But we have to band together because regardless, the buses will roll, parents will drop kids off, and we still have to do the work of educating.
Yeah, and that is what our episode is about today, right? We're going to talk about For the Love of Coaching, Playing to Win, which I love this play on, coaching as a sport.
Right.
I actually did an episode with my father, who's a longtime basketball coach, and we talked about the similarities between the two. How do you, the things that you do in sports is the same thing that you can and should be doing in the classroom and as coaches. So
Correct.
we had, we are in 2023 now. It feels like, we're slowly crawling our way out of this thing, but we still have an immense impact. COVID has had an immense impact on our educators. And as you said, we're having trouble keeping teachers in the classrooms, retaining teachers, recruiting teachers, but yet we still have children that need to have an educator in front of them. So let's start. Where do you want to start with this conversation? We want to retain, we want to recruit. What are some ideas that you have about that?
Well, actually, one of the points that I wanted to talk about was recruiting from within. And like you said, I liken that to universities and colleges when they are trying to recruit their newest talent.
Yep.
And myself being a former basketball coach, the key is, and I saw this in some of my research, that we forget about our veteran teachers. We push so much to get new teachers that we forget we still have to recruit our own to keep them there. Yeah. Because retention, as you know, is a great thing, and we don't want turnover so much that as soon as you bring in a new person in, you're thinking they're going to stay put. Now you have to patch a hole here, patch a hole there, because we don't value our people that we already have in the building.
Yeah, that's a great point. A lot of resources go into sometimes our brand new teachers, and as they do need support, how are we also growing our own and making sure that we're retaining the people, and that people feel valued for a long time. So what are some of the ways that you do that in your building?
So what we do now, I know this year I started with our lesson plan feedback. With a survey, our teachers were screaming, were saying, hey, we're not getting the feedback consistently. And then they would say, well, how do you want us to improve upon something, but we're not getting the consistent feedback? And so, as a leader, you kind of look at them like, really, you're saying that, but you have to listen. And that says a lot, because they want to get better. So you don't turn a deaf ear to that. Yeah. And so that's why I created the lesson plan feedback conferences, where myself and my two other instructional coaches, we have selected certain teachers. We meet each Friday. Lesson plans are due on a Wednesday. So rather than sitting at the computer shooting the comments in the Google Docs, no, we're gonna sit face to face. I'm gonna give you live feedback, but also you can create, you can edit, and your lesson plan the way that it should be, and you're getting that live one-on-one feedback. So we're going to take out the excuse of you're not getting the consistent feedback. No, we're getting it, live, every Friday, so that you know what it is that we are expecting. And then the more you do it, the better you become. So when the lesson plan shoots out on Wednesday, after you've taken the critiques and made the changes, and it's like, okay, our conferences don't have to be as lengthy, and more so they can begin to facilitate the conferences. And because that's what we want. We don't want it always, we're the ones who's facilitating the conversation. Take it just like if it's in your classroom facilitating, you want your students to eventually facilitate their learning. So we have to model what we want.
Yeah. And I love that you are, number one, listening to the teachers and what they're asking for. I love that they're asking for help, in this area. And you think about bringing it back to coaching on a field or a court. Your lesson plans are similar to practice, right? And the importance of practice. And essentially, maybe that's even more essential than what happens in the game, is making sure that you're ready for it. And I think it's great that your teachers are asking for that support, and that you're saying, okay, now it's your turn to lead.
Right.
I've showed you and I've worked with you. So now it's your turn to kind of take the lead on this.
Right.
I love that. Awesome. And so when you think about, rigging people in your building, what are some ways that you do that? So you kind of talked about, like, once they're there, this is how we support them. We listen to what they need, and we kind of go from there, and our coaching stems around that. But how do you recruit people into your building? Maybe some new teachers or veteran teachers, but what entices them to come to your building in particular?
Well, our main focus is to put our teachers in a capacity where they can lead. And again, like I just stated, it's not where we're always talking. It was, no, you need to lead, because we try to model by example, lead by example, because if what we do throughout our whole administrative, time is to model what we want to see in the classrooms. So when we go into staff meetings, we get our teacher leaders. What's the best practice that you're using in your classroom? We're gonna, plug that into our staff meeting. We're gonna allow you to showcase this to your other colleagues.
Right.
So then they have the question, as I always say, kids learn better from kids, just like you guys are learning better from their teacher leader, because you tend to tune us out after a while. It's like, okay, they say the same thing. But if you have that strong teacher leader who's like, look, guys, we have to do this. Let's do this. Let me show you how. Okay, this week you're doing your best practice. We come around again, the next week is you. And because currently that's what we're doing in our PLCs. Everyone has a role, and they will rotate that role. So everyone won't always be the spokesperson. Somebody always won't be the recorder, but you're going to take a vested interest in it when you're actually hands-on doing it. And so that's one way that we do. We highlight our teachers, their best practices. Just the simple thing of celebrating birthdays. We make it a big deal. So we're a big family. As we say, we're a Raven family. We look at wellness. We have walking competitions with the Nike app. So we separate our people in teams. Like, okay, we give the rules that you cannot cheat. You can't just stand there and shake your iPhone, your Apple Watch, so that it ticks. Like, no, you have to have some live movement. You have to walk. But at the same time, that helps, because that builds that competitive spirit. But also it gets the building and the buzz. It's like the kids kind of like, what's going on? Because they see that energy, like they actually like each other. So we're competing, and people are being healthy at the same time. So that makes other people from outside like, oh, well, I want to do that. So we end up competing against other schools to try to, bring that in. And also we have programs. We try to do various things that are tailored to our staff. One thing that we pride ourselves on is being unique. We want to be the flagship of our district. And so with our beginning teacher program, what we do each month, we have a specific theme where we invite people from the outside to come in. or in-house, we're doing some things, but we always try to make it cutting edge. And it's to the point where the district uses us as a model. We have the beginning teacher coach and her assistant, they come every meeting. If they cannot make the meeting, they say, can you reschedule the meeting so we can make it? And I've done it a few times, but they're always there because they love the work that we're doing. They love how we have basically transitioned our beginning teachers into now being veteran teachers. So it's to the point, it's a gift and a curse with the program because of the fact our novice teachers are now veteran teachers, that we're almost done completely because we don't have any novice teachers. Everybody is veterans, veterans. But what we do with that is just because you roll off and you're now quote unquote a veteran teacher, we still check on you. We still say, okay, you need to come back into the program. We can do it unofficially, put you back in so you can get some more added supports. So you're not just out there just like, okay, now I don't have to go to BT meetings anymore. You forget everything. You fall to the wayside. And so that's the types of things that we do here at Rocky Mount Middle.
Yeah. And it sounds like there are several things, not just one thing that you're doing to really make it a great place to work. I love the idea of adding a health benefit and a competition to people. For some, that really is a motivator. It would be for me. When I go to the gym, I want to be on the top of that leaderboard. That works for me. What is an example? Because you mentioned that, your BTs are really in your program really is doing some cutting edge things. What's one example of something that your district is like really excited about, or something that you all have done with them in particular?
Well, I know during COVID, we did portrait of a beginning teacher. Well, I had them to go throughout the building where they would take snapshots of various things and have to write a caption. And then we made a whole presentation of it. And so when they saw the teachers taking pictures of the empty classroom, how they missed the students, or they going outside an empty street and saying no longer hearing the roaring of school buses, it really, tapped into the spirit of stakeholders. And they're like, wow. Sure. So moving forward, we've had student panels where they would talk to the teachers, say, this is how I would like to learn. And this is why certain students don't do certain things. Yeah. And so it was kind of an eye-catching thing for them to actually hear it from the students in the building, saying, this is why kids do certain things. We don't like when this happens. And we want you to not just give us a worksheet, we want you to teach us. So again, that made them say, wow, the kids do care about learning. Yeah. But sometimes, as I said, you be an active listener. You have to listen to them the same way that they want us to listen to them. And also what we do, we just did last week a project, graduate, portrait of a graduate. This is a program that we have in the state of North Carolina where we look at 7 competencies of how kids are we want them to be successful to college and career ready. And so what I did, because I facilitated this one, I wanted them to really see that graduation just doesn't happen in high school. It begins in elementary and to middle on to high. So we play a significant role in preparing our student leaders for success once they get to high school. But also we talk about what it is the teachers need in order to help the students, and then what they need from us as administration to help them meet the needs of the students. So it's that type of thing where I may pull from a principal's meeting, from research, or I see it in another district or across the country, and I just kind of modify it for Rocky Mount Middle. So again, we can be cutting edge. It's something like, hey, we're the only one doing it. And people's like, people are like, I like what you guys are doing, because we're not afraid to try anything. Yeah. Yeah. So.
I love the, wow, I'm picturing like what your teachers did during COVID with empty classrooms. I mean, that's really powerful because
I can send it to you.
Yeah, I would love to see that. It would be, and maybe it's something that we share if you're okay with it, in our coach takeaway, in our takeaways, where people can see kind of what that looks like. Because I'm picturing these empty classrooms, it's really hard to know what things look like at all, from a parent perspective. what do things look like in the classroom, but especially when things are empty and quiet, that's hard for a teacher because it's not what we're used to. But I also love, portrait of the student. When you're talking about teachers listening to students, it brings me back to what you said earlier about you all listening to teachers. So it seems like it's a lot about this whole retention and recruiting and everything is all about really not speaking as much as you're listening to people and what they need.
Correct.
And that seems to be kind of a theme so far today. So I really love that, the portrait of what things are like, or portrait of a student. That's a really great visual and a way to think about how to bring in a different perspective, I guess, right, or bring in someone's perspective. So very cool. And sometimes, we have to have, so changing subjects a little bit, sometimes we do have to have some crucial conversations with people.
Yes, we do.
Right. Sometimes we're going along and things are good, but then every once in a while there are some crucial conversations. So in planning for today's episode, this is one of the things that you had wanted to discuss. So tell me about crucial conversations and how you said it might be a pep talk, like motivational.
Yeah.
So I'm curious about this.
Because, sometimes, as I said, we all know the book, Crucial Conversations, like you got to have that tough conversation.
Yes.
But in paralleling it with what we're talking about today in coaching, sometimes that crucial conversation actually becomes a pep talk. Because it's like, oh, I'm fired up now to do better. You told me what I needed to work on, and you just really laid it out, because if I don't do well on this is the option. So it turns into a pep talk, because if I really want to be great or be better, then I'm going to take that advice and really start making some impactful changes. And case in point, this year we're coaching up 3 of our beginning teachers, actually 4, not even beginning. Let me cut that. These are some veteran teachers, and they basically just not cutting the mustard last school year. And so I said, you can't throw the baby out with the bathwater. And just like the last statement that I made, nobody's really knocking on our doors to come into education like that anymore.
Sure.
So we have to work with what we have. We have to build up the capacity in our teachers. And that's why, again, I was saying with that crucial conversation, we say, hey, this is what the data is saying, where you're very ineffective. But I need for you to get to here. So again, just changing from that crucial conversation to saying, boom, this is what the data says. This is the next step that I can do, that the district may do. But again, I need you here. I think you're doing a great job. We're going to put some more supports in for you to help you become successful. We're not just going to say, hey, this is what the numbers say, do better on your own, because we're going to get the same results.
Yeah.
As I say jokingly, I say, you can't just say, oh, the teacher sucks. The teacher's no good. You can't just say that, because you can't put it on the observation. You can't put it on the end of year evaluation. But bottom line, that teacher ineffectiveness comes back to you as the administrator. That's why I was saying the success or failure, it comes to you regardless. So I can't continue to say the teacher's not doing well, because my supervisors say, well, what have you done? What have you put into place to help those teachers? So that's why we have a monthly coaching meeting with these teachers, give them some assignments to do, to bring back. And we just have a real conversation. How well are you doing in class? What are some hurdles that obstacles that you are having issues with in the class? Where can I assist you? Or if I can't, let me lead you to someone who can, but we want to make sure that you are doing well. And I provide them feedback same day that we have the coaching meetings. And again, we have a book study going on with Teach Like a Champion. We find different segments of that to kind of fit where the teacher is, so that they can work on that, so they can see real life examples and models. And then I have one teacher, I have him going to another school to observe another teacher in his subject area because he's a single. So he needs to see what master teaching looks like, and also to get out of the building. Because sometimes you can get so landlocked where you are, you think that's the only thing that you know, and you can't have that mentality, excuse me, because the same thing we try to do with our students. We have to give them more experiences to help their emotional intelligences, the same way we have to do with our teachers. So go to another building, see a master teacher, learn from that. And then also you can collaborate. And then there you have another network, a pool of resources that you can lean on to help you.
Yeah. I like that it's not like, you're not saying to people, hey, look, this is the data and, you're done, it's just not working out. I think that there's a lot of truth sometimes to like, people are doing the very best they can. I don't know any teachers that are walking into a building saying, I don't know, I'm just gonna like phone it in today. I'm just not feeling like it.
Right.
Or like, I'm just gonna kind of do half of what I'm capable of. I think there are a lot of situations where, our universities are doing the best they can to prepare educators, but there's nothing like walking into that room on your own the first year, second year, third year, and every year can be different depending on curriculum changes or moving buildings or whatever. And I do think that people are innately doing the best they can, and sometimes they just need support in one way or another. I love that you again are saying, here's the reality, because you do need to look at the reality. You need to look at the data. But what supports do you need to get to where our goal is? Because you are setting a goal for them. And how can I help you to get there? And I think that's really important when it comes to growth, is that people are able to see where's my goal? Where's my end goal? And then here's how I get there. And here's how I'm going to be supported. So, and for your, one teacher who is the only person teaching their content in that grade level, that is very challenging. You could feel very isolating. It happens a lot, I think, to our upper, our middle school and high school teachers.
Right.
And I know some smaller elementary schools that may only have one teacher in that grade. So I think all of that's possible. I do think there is also, Sibme is all about, growth and being able to reflect. And so the power of like video and how that can play into our, seeing yourself and getting a picture of reality, but also when it comes to collaborating with others, how that might be a possibility too. And going back to our sports analogy, we use tape all the time in sports to kind of to look back and say, oh yeah, in this game, wait, pause. See what happened here? Let's replay that. How would you do that differently? I used to watch my dad every Saturday. He would play the game from the Friday before, and we would watch it, and he would take notes, and then he would talk to his team about it. And, so that really is a great learning tool as well for people. Yeah. I love that. Well, we've had a lot of conversations today about, look, we have got to retain the teachers that we have and recruit some really fantastic ones. You've done a great job in your building of creating this sense where people want to be there. It sounds like you have you've listed so many ways that you celebrate each other and work with each other and grow and learn. As we wrap up for today, are there any final notes, any final thoughts that you have for us?
I would just say, I think, like I've already mentioned, just don't forget about those that are in the building. Bottom line, just keep evolving, keep switching it up, trying to be cutting edge, to keep your staff there, because like I said, turnover is a terrible thing. Retention is an awesome thing. And sometimes, it can be a gift and a curse, because you have the people there, they don't want to leave. But then in lies a problem. If they don't want to leave, but they're not trying to continually grow, then that's when you have an issue. But always just try to build those things in to help them grow, kind of force them to grow. And by saying that, having that PD that, again, is what your school improvement goals are, so that they know, okay, this is something that will be used. It's not just, oh, go to this PD just to say I went to PD,
right.
but something is tangible that they can use throughout their career. Because one thing I always tell teachers, even if they do happen to leave, which in the last 5 years has not been a lot of turnover, which is awesome.
Great.
I say, I don't want you to retire from this place, because I said, unfortunately, I'm not going to retire from here because I'm still growing and learning, but I want you to have been better served for working here. So when you go to a new destination, you're like, I learned a lot there that I can use here, and it helped prepare me for that. So, we're always trying to build the capacity in our staff and preparing them for the next assignment, wherever it may be, if it's no longer at Rocky Mount Middle School.
Well, I agree. And I think, a theme throughout this entire episode as well is, make sure you're listening to your people and supporting them along their journey. So thank you, Dr. Brown, for coming on the Coach Replay Show again this season. And hopefully we see you again soon. We will have notes and takeaways at learn.sibme.com. And feel free to subscribe to our YouTube channel, and you can check us out on Twitter, Facebook, and LinkedIn. Thank you so much for coming.
All right. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.